It's live now.
Alright, let's see. I think it is. All right, welcome to another Team Talk.
Oh my god.
All right, welcome to another Team Talk.
Oh my god.
Okay, sorry about that. We just had to make sure it was up. Okay, so I think we got the kinks worked out. We found our what are you whispering?
We got one.
It's us. It's silly.
I'm done.
Sorry for the background noise, y'all. We're still outside. Anyway, so I think we got the kinks worked out. I'm gonna have the boys in it today, so y'all don't need to see my face because this is Team Talk.
That mom talk.
Well, I just prompt you with some stuff, and then hopefully you talk about it. So today we are going to keep it to right at less than 30 minutes.
Okay.
Okay? That's our goal. So I'm going to keep an eye on the timer. Okay, so y'all have anything on your minds or up to minds before we start?
If any of you have seen the last one, come on. Welcome to this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to this one. What you got?
I'm done.
What do you hear? Nothing.
Well, I don't know. What do you want me to say? I don't know what to say. Okay.
Do you have anything on your mind?
Well,
okay.
let me see here.
Okay, you should have thought about that before coming on. What are you doing?
I don't know. I had to go to the like we said yesterday. Well, not in the video, but earlier. We had we were talking about like your memory is like a file bank kind of, right?
It's like a file, yeah.
So you have to go through them all and like type it into the computer or whatever, and then
open up the file, find out what's inside. Okay, so yesterday was Purim, and then Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's almost the end of Shabbat. Not quite the end. Probably about 7 tonight is when sundown is. There's a website you can go to, and it'll tell you when sundown is in each area. But anyways, this is roughly 7. So we did Sabbath. What'd y'all think?
I liked it. It was good.
Mm-hmm. Good one. Do y'all remember the verse we talked about?
It was blessed those
who are persecuted because those persecuted for righteousness. Because persecuted for righteousness, their way or
theirs will be
the kingdom of God.
Of heaven. Yep, that's Matthew 5:10.
Yeah.
Matthew 5:10. So we talked about persecution. Is there any ways, like right now, what we're going through in America is nothing compared to what Christ was talking about with persecution, but sometimes it can still feel that way. If you discuss with one of your friends about Christ and they're not a follower, they might look at you funny or they might ask you silly questions. And in America, that kind of seems like persecution. That's not real persecution for righteousness, but that's the start of it. We've started to see it. Have you seen it in other ways? Like in current events? How else?
The election.
Okay. Let's not use that word. But yes, people who were a part of January 6th, whether they did anything or not, whether they went
just to go
to
and-
DC or
Yeah.
they went to the Capitol, they're all being held accountable alike. And some have gone, we have to be careful how we say this.
Mm.
Some have been labeled
Mm-hmm.
terrible things. We'll just call them DTs. And that's an awful label because their persecution, and now it's different because it's not for their faith. It's more for their belief in their candidate. And so they're being persecuted for that. And some weren't ready, right?
Yeah.
Because they're really upset, and they've gotten lawsuits and criminal
Wow.
charges and all kinds of stuff going on. Some of them can't fly in planes. Yeah, so they are being persecuted for their faith in DJT, and they're not ready. They weren't really that. Some of them, I shouldn't say all of them. Some of them were not ready for that. They're not that serious about them, and as you shouldn't be for a man, only for God. So, but with that, you've seen over and over, like that's a literal example, a physical example of what the Lord was talking about in the Bible when He said, blessed are those who are persecuted for my name's sake. Also, there's another one about being persecuted for
Just knowing.
for the name, yep, for just knowing Him. And so that is seeing what we saw with, let's just say January 6th, shows us that it gives you a preview, let's say, of some persecution, right? So is there any other ways y'all can think of? I mean, that was a good one. That's a really good example. Because people have been now, people with the title patriot are demonized. They're being treated
poorly.
As, and if you, the video that we did a few weeks, like last month, on how it was already scripted, you can see that this has been in the works for a long time, right? The other thing I was going to say too, when Jesus said that you would be persecuted for my name's sake, DJT also had come out and said, they are what they're doing to me, I am trying to prevent them from doing to you because they're coming after you. So I'm just in the way. It's not me. I mean, they hate him, but it's not him as much as they want to get at all the people who support him, thought of him, whatever. And that's the same example that Jesus is talking about. You know, blessed are those who are persecuted for my name's sake. So that was we did a good little study on that. What else did y'all learn today? We read something. Y'all remember what we read?
It was it's like apology, but
apologetics.
Apologetics.
Right? Do you remember what apologetics is at all? I know that's a difficult term, but do you know what that is at all?
It's defense towards God.
Defense of your
belief,
faith. Yeah. So, we just started the book, so we'll get into it more and learn more. But you should, based on today, people are all over the place in the way they think. So, you know, some people believe in some really, really strange things. Some people say they don't have a belief at all. But the fact that you get up, right, and let's say when you wake up in the morning and you get up, the fact that you turned out of bed and put all your weight on your legs said you had faith that your legs were going to work.
Yeah.
Right? And when you went to the restroom and you pressed the flusher, is that you had faith that it was going to flush. And when you Um, when you, let's see, hold on a second, you all. Sorry.
Yeah.
Turned on the water. Sorry, guys. I think that's better. When you turned on the water, the act of reaching for the faucet and turning it on means that you believed it was going to work. So we do have belief in something. It doesn't mean that's what you're putting your eternal faith in, but for someone to say they have faith in nothing is not true.
Yeah.
Because when you go, and another really good example is if you go and spend your money at a store, I shouldn't even say money, your currency at a store, you have faith that whatever you are purchasing will you'll be able to purchase with that currency, right? So there's some faith even in your currency system, right? What do y'all remember what we talked about the difference between money and currency?
Money has nothing to back it up, just a paper.
Opposite. Currency has nothing to back it up. Money
Has
what is money usually backed by?
gold.
Gold, right? So when you have a currency and it's backed by nothing, it's not money because it's just an arbitrary belief that it's going to work, right? So you can put as many of those numbers in as you want. You can take as many of them out. Yes, it still gets you real assets for now, as long as people believe it's going to. But when people stop believing that it's going to do that, then it has nothing. It has no value.
Yeah.
Other than the paper that it's printed on and the little bits of silk that are, I don't even know if it's with silk anymore, but you used to put some silk strands in it to keep it from tearing up when it got wet, stuff like that, to be able to be circulated. So money is your coins are actually worth more than your dollar bills because your coins have some metal in it. There's something, it's not necessarily worth what their face value is, but it costs more to make a cent than it's worth. So that's why I think that's personally why I think you've seen a coin shortage.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we're not putting our resources into the coins that a lot of people just throw on the ground anyway. When, we'll put that into some other asset, physical item. All right, so okay, another thing we talked about idols. And in the Old Testament, or just let's say the Bible altogether, it's kind of easy now, like looking back, to see what idols were. But what are some idols of today? Because it's not so easy during the time that you're living to recognize necessarily what an idol is not. So what is an idol, first of all?
Something that you devote a lot of your time to, or just believing in that certain object, or not even an object. It could just be your clothes. It could be anything.
Be your makeup. Be your be a tree.
Yeah.
Right. So, so it could be anything. Really, what it is, anything that you devote more to than God. Anything that you place more value in over God. Anything that you what's the word?
Cherish?
Yeah. Cherish. Care about more than God. So idolatry could come in many forms. In fact, one of the forms, we've talked about this before, but one of the forms that a lot of people don't recognize is some people are commit idolatry in their own ministry.
Yeah.
Their ministry becomes an idol. Because anytime that you have to, I need to stop praying and go grab my stuff and go to the some church meeting or whatever, and you shorten your time with God, then that becomes an idol, right? Y'all specifically, what have we talked about is an idol amongst teenagers?
Electronics, games.
What video games? Yes, big time. And they don't recognize it. You don't recognize it, but it does. It does interfere with your. And it doesn't mean that you walk around and be in a state of prayer
all the day,
all the time. It means that you're ready to pray. With the verse that says, "Pray without ceasing."
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was saying that just pray whenever it's you have
it comes to you to do. Yep. So I mean, there's times that we pray, but there's also times that you're not necessarily ready or expected to pray, but you need to be ready.
At all times.
That's what pray without ceasing. You always have a direct line of communication open.
There's always hope. There's always.
Yep. That song, Jesus is on the main line. You better tell him what you want. So you have video games, you have movies, you have other people, our phones. That's a big one for adults that we can't get away. I even caught myself. So when I was doing a fast, the whole time that I was either in the state of prayer or a state of worship or a state of studying, just spending time with God, talking about God, reading about God, whatever, I was fine. Right. I wasn't hungry. I was fine. I got distracted and looked at my phone. And the second I was on something that had nothing to do with God. And I got distracted and I looked at it. And as soon as I did that, I started feeling hungry. So the whole time I wasn't hungry during my fast until I looked at something. I was distracted by something. So our phones are such a huge distraction, a huge idol. Yes, we need to use our phones for communication in this day and age. We also need to use currency in this day and age. We also need to eat food. We need to clean ourselves. There's things that we need to do, but none of those things should take God's place. Yeah. Right? They shouldn't take more importance. Or if God's telling you, hey, go open your Bible and read. Yeah. Go, I want you to look at something. I need you to go help somebody. I need you to call someone. If you're stuck on your video game, then you're not able to, right, you're not able to do what God's asking you to do. So it's hard to stay in his will and do what he's asking us to do if your
main focus is on another thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right, so we've talked about like different symbolism, right? And we've talked about even learning, studying, and researching can become an idol, right? If you are devoting more time and attention to studying what's going on in the world, it's very easy for us to get.
There we go. I screwed it up, son, and not out of focus.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, guys. Sorry, we'll get a better distance too. Each day it'll get better.
Yeah. Last time we couldn't see us, now you can, but now we need to get the right angle.
So we do some research and we study and we try to figure out what's going on to the degree that we don't get caught up in the ugly stuff. So we do look and study and do some research, but even that can become an idol if you devote more time and attention to trying to figure out what's going on. We talked about it earlier. You remember the term back in the day? During the what's called the apostolic age. Do you remember the term of the people who were trying to do basically their God was knowledge? Yeah. You remember what they were called? Gnostic. Right? Gnosticism. Yeah. So basically the way they attain enlightenment or
Joy.
is through knowing. Well, even that especially, because some people think that's so innocent, and it's not. When we start going down some of these rabbit holes, we have to know when to say, "Oh, that's
Stop.
enough."
Hold up.
Yeah. Stop.
Because even last night we got off on a little rabbit trail when we were doing our Bible study. We went in and we saw some connections with a pizza company and a boys club and some other things, and we found some articles and stuff, and then we had to pull ourselves back because the focus was supposed to be on God, not on that.
That was getting too deep.
Too messed up, right?
We called ourselves detectives.
Right, but Sabbath is to just dedicate the time for God. So we needed to back out of that. It's not that you can't ever learn about those things to figure out what's going on, but that should not take the place of spending time with God. And it should not you have to know a limit.
Yeah.
You have to feel the Holy Spirit say, "Oh, okay, let's just take a break here." Because there's some things I'm not ready for you to know. Or I'm not ready for you. You're not going to understand this, or I'm not going to open your eyes to that. So just don't even go in there. I don't want you dwelling on that. I don't want that in your spirit.
Mind.
Right? So, it's nothing wrong with learning and figuring out what's going on. But we have to know when we got to pull back.
Yeah.
Right? I even find myself, sometimes I'll be listening to YouTube all day on different subjects. And I'm like, really? That's long enough. Like, and it does. If you study stuff like that for long enough, it makes you feel icky and like just gross. So you gotta keep a balance with that.
Equal.
But with that being said, have y'all found, what are some symbols or things you found in some stuff y'all watched or whatever?
And
Hope not.
let's say, well, for Elijah, since it's been like a main topic, the Transformers. That has some lot in it. Tron. Yeah,
all right. So what is your connection though? So give me a specific example, a scene or something that's in there.
Well, in Tron, like when you first watch it, we watched on Disney Plus yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, and with our sister, and the first part of the scene, it shows you what a circuit board looks like.
A grid.
Yeah, like a grid. So
right, the circuit board looks like a grid.
And you should look into the real world, and it looks exactly like a computer.
Inside the thing.
So right, when you look at a map, especially a map of the grid, it looks like a circuit.
Yeah.
Like a circuit board.
Especially when it's laid out.
Right. So do you have an example? We only have a few more minutes. So if anything you watched this recently or saw that says, I know that symbolism for something.
Well, let's knowing from the YouTube that I have watched that mom's showing, that they haven't been talking about the Monsters vs. Aliens scene, where Monsters vs. Aliens has a lot in there, but there's the one in particular in the very beginning. As soon as that into
all the times Amir watched it, we never heard it before, but.
Well, isn't it interesting? Okay, so we've talked about what we think aliens are.
Yeah.
What do you think monsters are?
Alien.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you think aliens and monsters are?
Fallen angels.
Fallen angels. So isn't that ironic that the term of the movie is monsters versus aliens? Really? So it's evil versus evil?
Yeah.
Right? But they want to show you them in different ways so you can say, well, that's an evil, but that one's not.
No,
or this one's a demon and that one's not. or that can't be that bad because I don't want to ever see them hurt anything or anybody. But anything that takes away from God's creation, from His attention and His worship and His glory, is not of Him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how nice and wonderful it looks and feels and whatever. It's not of Him.
Nobody has.
So, what else were you going to say? You were going to say something about the beginning?
Yeah, the Monsters vs. Aliens, remember?
Oh, it was, it didn't say it specifically, of course, because they like to hide things, but it was talking about when the rapture comes, or when you're being taken up, you better be praying to God, because they're,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, they were calling the rapture alien invasion. I mean, they basically said it in the song that when the rapture comes, you better be praying.
And
it's about aliens.
Yeah.
So it's just weird that they even associate the rapture with aliens as though they're some separate entity of fallen angels. They're not. It's all the same. Like, however you want to dress them up, they're all still. They're also demons.
Yeah.
Like, whichever way you want to look at it.
Dress it up pretty, it's still going to be the same.
Right. My coach used to say when I was in track, he would say, you can take a bear out of the woods, dress him up, give him a bath, dress him up, take him to prom, but it's still a bear.
Yeah.
So, however you want to dress it up, make it look good, smell good, whatever, it's still what it is. There's a poem that DJT read at one of his rallies, and it was called it's about the snake, and it's actually from a song. It's not really a poem, it's a song. And it's talking about how you knew that I was a snake the whole time, basically, before you let me in. So we got to be careful of the things that we think are, oh, that's not so bad, that's okay. And we've talked about how movies do that. Do you remember an example of a movie series that didn't start off so terrible, but eventually was really horrible? Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Exactly. Some people won't watch it at all. They won't do anything with it. And I don't think so now. Like, as you progressively see how terrible they get. But each one, it's like, it starts off with, oh, okay, that's not so bad. I can listen to that.
Just to get you hooked into it.
And then you get into the second one, you're like, okay, well, I mean, that's a little bit worse, but not okay, Then you get a little bit to the next one, like, wow, okay, they're really stepping it up. And then fourth and fifth are like horrible.
Like, the wazoo.
Horrible. And then, so anyways, book series turned into film series. You'll see how same thing with another one, or two examples, and we still watch them so we can figure out what to look for, what things they're trying to hide. But like Hunger Games, same.
Yeah.
Hunger Games is pretty awful anyway from the beginning. So I'm not gonna. That one just started off crazy.
Yeah.
But so you have Hunger Games, and you also have Maze Runner.
Yeah.
Maze Runner progressively got a little bit too far, It's still good, to understand.
And, yeah.
You need to know what's going on so it doesn't take you by surprise. But we don't need to be like, we don't need to justify our faith based on these movies. I don't know. It's because the sun's going down, I think, and it's trying to adjust light. We're almost off of here anyway. So we have about 2 minutes. So any final thoughts?
Even though, you get, even though you feel like, or in real life, like it actually happens to you, lose something, or have
hard times.
Hard time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, God's is always gonna be there. He's the one key thing that never perishes, dies. Right. Yeah, he's never gonna leave you. in any circumstance, even though it might feel like it, he's always going to be there. And that's what a lot of people don't see, and try to this. Even in the movies, they try to hide it from you, but it's there. Like you can't not see it.
Well, sometimes it's called hidden in plain sight. So a lot of times they'll put stuff in there just to see if you will catch on.
Exactly.
And then when you know some stuff and you go back, you're like, holy
crap!
wow,
Oh my
how
God.
did I miss that? Like what? So what's your final thoughts?
That I'm trying to put the words together.
You're just trying to prolong this. Is
No.
what I feel like because
No, well,
you're supposed to be ending this.
God will show you things that you may not see the first time, but He'll show you the second time. Something like that.
So that makes me think of the verse. I think it's Hebrews 4:12. 4:12. That God's word is alive and active, sharper than a two-edged sword, dividing bone from marrow, joint from sin. So constantly, it's alive. So it's constant. Every time you're gonna get something different. You'll see something different. You'll hear something different. God will show you something different with it all the time, constantly.
Yeah.
Even today, we were talking about apologetics, and I said that's also makes me think of the apostles, and
of course,
like the apostles defending their faith, And so, I mean, it's not necessarily that, but it comes from the Greek word apologia. But anyway, that's for another day.
Another day.
So, all right. Well, I think we'll conclude here, and then see. I mean, if y'all watch this,
leave a comment.
Leave a comment and tell us what you'd like us to talk about.
Yeah.
And
what are some ideas?
Yeah. Well, we have plenty of ideas. It's just getting it. We need to be more organized as far as the topics that we talk about.
Yeah.
But we were just making sure that our mic and our webcam worked today. So I think we got that down. We'll work on getting placement of the camera and all that better. But each day it's going to get better. All right. Yep. All right. So we will see y'all tomorrow, maybe.
Hopefully.
If not tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow. But the day after tomorrow.
Tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get a regular schedule.
Yeah, going on.
And then that way we can have and we'll have segments where we talk about certain things for a couple minutes. That way it flows better and
we're not just talking about something. Yeah.
But we'll figure it out, and then that way y'all are doing more talking than I am.
Yeah.
If we have a better plan. Okay. All right, and then we'll talk about prep and stuff too. We need to talk about more prep and stuff. Okay,
and what we're gonna do at the new house.
When we move, we'll be moving soon. All right, so we'll
Oh, and it's Dad's birthday in 2 days.
Yeah, a couple days.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. All right, we will be back in a couple days, maybe.
Hopefully,
maybe
we'll
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, we'll schedule it better.
Yeah.
If we are, you know it.
So like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff.
Good jazz.
And then here comes another bug. So
like if you saw that last stream, there's a bug.
Big one. All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.